Hey guys, in this video, let's look at how to make a teleport system. Mm, so how the teleport system works is, let's say a player walks into one portal, a magical portal, and he comes out of another magical portal. We can first take the model of a portal. Portal. We have this good model. Now, before we do anything, let's always make this into a reusable. Click on reusable, call it portal, click on this edit. Now if you see we have two copies. Now this copy is an instance and this copy is the reusable. Let's say you delete this by accident. If you want to add more, come to reusable, click on this portal and you can add how many ever you want. Okay. Now if you see we cannot see the reusable, that's because we need to click on view and turn on logic mode so we can see all the logics. Let's move this end game away. And now we need a player. Now we can click on premage, clear the search. Now we have a platform player. Let's add this. And if you see, we have some other code. Let's move this around. And when we play, we have our player, but the camera is too zoomed in. Let's zoom out a bit and set the camera, and we should have a zoomed out camera. Now let's duplicate this. So we have two portals. Now let's say let's say the player enters here and he has to come out here. For that, what we can do is, let's take a couple of notes. Before we do that, go to asset, search for square, go to models. You should have a simple sharp cube, or you can just take a cube, not a square. Increasing, make it thinner, scale it properly, and we have a portal door. Now, if you see, we cannot, when we do not see it here in the copies. For that, we need this model to be inside the reusable. So drag and drop until you see that icon and release. Now we have it for all the other portals. Now we want the portal to be glowing. Let's make it glowing. Go to visual, go to visual material, click on add, rename it to portal, to color, change it to something fancy and make it immersive. Now click on this model, come here, go to white and click on port. Now you have a glowing portal. Now if you see player is not able to go inside, you wanna make it go inside. There's two ways of doing it. One, clicking on no physics. This will make it go inside. But if you do this, a very important nodes will not work. So we need to make it unmovable and go to advanced, go to physics and turn on sensor. The sensor is very important because this object will be usable for all the logic nodes, and also we can move it inside and out. Okay. Okay. Now what we need is a collision node. A collision node is a node that will let us know that our player has come in contact or collided with this mesh or this door. And you might say, how does it know? If you click on the node, we have a couple of options. The target, we can clear it. So you can set it to this door. When you drag and drop, we can see the highlight is square. We'll leave it. So this is the target. And if you see there's a trigger with group, all the objects have a group. So if you go to advanced, click on object, you can see the group. By default, all the objects are gray group. And if you see the player has gray and also gray, you can have n number of them. But for HypeHype standards, we're gonna keep it to green. Most of all the reusables or the pre-mates that you find here will follow this system. So green is always the player. Or you can change it to anything that you need. Let's say you keep it to blue. You have to come here, deselect the gray and keep it to blue. Make sure to deselect gray because almost every object, let's say even this cube by default is gray and we do not need default values. Now let's say the player is green and not blue, or let's say even this, you can select any color. But because by default pre-mates are gray and green, now let's select green. Now let's take a mover node because the mover node is the one that's gonna move the player from one one portal to another portal. And it will require a target. And if you see the target is right now the teleporter, and we do not want the teleport itself to move around, we want the player to move around. So we'll clear this, go to collision detector, and if you see on collision start, we have these three dots. If you click, we can see all the output data, and these datas we get it when the player comes in contact with this mesh. So on collision, we'll get hit position, custom value, and hit object. And hit object will be the player because the player is the one that's going to come in contact with this mesh. So we can use this hit object. So we'll store it when the player hits it. So we'll take object storage. We'll call it the player because we're going to save the player inside this object storage. And on collision start, let's store it. And you can convert the link and always make sure this is also execute on. And from storage, we'll drag and drop the output stored object and set it as target. So on collision detection, we'll detect the player, we'll store it inside this object storage and set it. And this mover node will take that object whenever we want that player to move. Now we want the player to move as soon as the collision happens. So for that, we also need the position of the another portal because the mover node cannot move it without us giving it the location of the another portal. For that, what we can do is go to value inspect. We need a value inspector node. Value inspector node will give us the position of another portal. For that, if you click on the value inspector, it has uh, it has this source and we need to set the source of the another portal. Right now it's taking the default traceable. Now let's clear this and click on this reusable, go to advanced, click on edit inputs and in inputs click and add object. We can call it as another portal. Now from another portal, now when you select this reusable, click and drag from here, or you can also do it from here and set it as set as source. Now click on the value inspector, make sure on start is turned off, and on collision detection, on collision start, we'll execute this value inspector. The value inspector will take the object that we have given, and it will give us the position data. So on value output, we will set the value to vector for the mover node, and make sure this convert link is clicked and you convert this link. If you see the connection is red, so on collision detection, it will execute value inspector and it will also execute the mover node. Now let's play, let's see what happens. If you see nothing is happening, and the reason for that is if you click on the reusable, if you click on this duplicate of this reusable, go to basic, again click on this portal, go to basic, you see this portal option here. If you click on it, now you can see the input that we have just created called another portal. I'll just refer you back again here. You see this is the input. This is taking the information of the position. So we need to set it. Now take in that portal, you see this another portal. Now drag and drop it and set it to your another portal. Now let's see what happens. Boom. There goes here and it comes back. Sometimes what happens is if the portal is really far, you can physically see the player moving. Now, if you do not want that to happen, come back to this move node here and turn on this teleport option. This will instantly teleport the player to the destination that you need. Now, let's say you want to use this portal and come back to this portal. What you can do is click on this portal, go to portal. Now you can see the another portal here, and you can select this portal because that is where you want. Now let's see what happens. Do you see what happens? Now, the problem here is when we come to move node here, our operation is set to move, and we need to change this to set position. Again, the problem here is we need to set the position and not keep it at the move. Now when you see, now there's another issue. So now what is happening is the player goes into this portal, comes back to this portal, it collides with this mesh, again comes back to this portal, again collides with this mesh, again comes back to this portal. So it's happening forever. Before I fix that, let's always save this. Let's call it YT port. I will link this file, so if anyone wants to take a look at it, you can look how it's set up, and if you want to copy the code, you can try and copy the nodes. Again, make sure the mover 2 is set at operation set position, and make sure teleport is turned on. And these are the links. So on collision, it execute this, and from here it's execute this. Make sure this execution is executed. Sometimes what happens is from values where if you drag and drop it here, you get this reader link, but we need to convert it. Make sure this is how it is. Now let's get back to our issue where it's teleporting forever. Now we do not want that to happen. There are many ways of fixing it. There are easy ways to fix it. There's complicated ways of fixing it because most of the viewers that view our videos are going to be beginners. I'll show you the easiest way to fix this. Now the problem is when the player goes here, he's spawning exactly in the center of this mesh. That is why he is again colliding and coming back here. Now we can avoid that if the player was spawning in front of it. Now how do we do that? There's a It's a small cheat that we can do. So what we can do is click on asset. You can go to any model. For now, let's say a sphere. And we can set where our player should teleport. Let's say he teleports here. He should be away from this so that the player will not collide here. So let's say he's here, and make sure physics is set to no physics. Otherwise, the player will just collide. Like if you see, player will collide. We don't want to collide. We'll turn no physics. Now player will not collide. And what we'll do is we'll take our first portal, we'll clear it. We do not want this to be the portal. So another portal will be disappear. Now what happens is the player is teleporting here and it's not colliding with this anymore. But when we teleport here, again, what is happening is the player is going inside here, colliding with this, and it's coming back to this sphere. So what we'll do is we'll duplicate this, move this here, and let's click on this, make sure it's selected here. We'll select this teleport, clear this, and add to the sphere. So this teleport is teleporting to this sphere. This this portal is teleporting to this sphere. Now they should be working. See. Now let's say again, the problem is these are all visible. So we can go to advanced, visibility, cache shadow turned off, and do the same here. This is a very small, quick teleport that we can do. This is a very simple teleportation setup. Again, we can do many things. Let's say there are multiple teleports, and there is a map, and the player can select any teleport and teleport there. Again, those are all much more advanced, and I don't want to confuse a beginner right now. But for most of the games, they should be very good enough. I'll just do a small recap so that we are not confused, and it's a very simple setup. All we are doing is we just set up this door. We are using this collision detector to this. We're setting it to green because that is the player. And on collision, we'll first save that player information, and then after that, we dragged and dropped, and we executed this value inspector. This value inspector will take in the position of the another portal. Now the another portal here is a spear, and it's gonna send a value to the mover node, and the mover node will basically move our player, because in set target it is taking our player. You can see the logic clearly. It's a very simple logic. Now, to make this more fancy, what we can do is we can add sound, we can add particle effects, we can add many things. So let's quickly just add a sound effect. We can go to sound. Let's type in spawn if you have any spawn. Currently, I'm not able to hear the sound. I think I've disabled the sound. 1 minute. Yep. Now it's much more visible. Let's say I want this. I mean, you can always look into the library. There are a lot of sounds. What we can do is we can drag and drop it here and say a more node on end will execute this. Let's see if this works. Yep. Now let's add particle effects. What we can do is uh, go to build, go to effects. Let's type in spawn. There might be some spawns. Let's say we like, what's this water splash? Let's say uh, we like this laser explosion. Let's say we just like this. We drag and drop it here. When we click it here, then we click and drag and drop it here, so it's inside. We make sure the target is cleared here, otherwise it will take in this portal. We want to take as this peer, so it spawns there. So we'll select the target to that. So we'll click on reusable, go to advanced. We have this, drag and drop it to target. Click on the particle, make sure execution is turned off. Now on value inspector, because we want to move, and also turn on that particle effect. You can click on execute on. Let's see this. Boom. So I hope this video is very helpful. It's a very simple teleport system. In case there's something very specific that you guys want to do, drop a comment and I'll try and make a video for that. And also, if you have any other questions, drop a question in Telegram or in Discord or in YouTube. See you guys in the next video.